Let's see if this will be a keeper. I saw this morning, apparently a TikTok trend, of course. Of course, an idea like this would grow like mold. Like a rash. So there's now, the left has apparently and they can't compete against this. They've gotten there, and now there's not really a way back. The race mysticism of things like the Moorish Science Temple, they didn't do it so much. If I remember, it's more of a Noble Drew Ali thing, and other contemporaries in that era of time. So this is pre-proper anthropology, archaeology. Phones are being installed in like whole buildings, like a whole block will have a phone. And it is like when the Harlem Renaissance is going to be around this time. And there's a lot of these people who, so this is even prior to the Hough's edition. So the actual agreed by the School of Cairo, the university in Cairo, that this is the Quran properly translated into the English language. That takes till the 1950s. So this is even prior to then. There are still people using horses and carriages in some parts of the country. In that time, like not, and they're not Amish. This is prior to real anthropology and archaeology. These claims that they're all sort of native people. Now this has gotten into some kind of weird indigenous peoples of the globe were black and they were all wiped out until it's just this group in America that's left. And there was I think Universal African. There's a number of these mystical groups, that race mystic groups. So these a lot of this is lifted from actually white Israelitism. A lot of it's lifted really from like whole almost, just scratch out a word and write another word. From historical kind of all white supremacist stuff that eventually became, it has to counter the biblical narrative. This is so what it is. This is a new collective. This is a new story. It's a new mythos. And it's supposed to give you the sense that you now have this vengeance that you have to there's revenge against the world that erased you and took all these things that you made. And then there's this idea that all these cultures, well, we made that kind of stuff. It just wait. And now they're openly doing the two groups they have to do. They had to steal Native American culture, which even representing themselves in this format, is just crazy. It's just totally insane. When you see it, you're just like, do you not understand that that's clearly like AI, or it's clearly like something you put together a bunch of things that don't belong together, and then trying to take Asian culture from Asians, and so my whole thing about this was always to me weird. It was always a fringe part of the hip hop world. Guys who always kind of thought themselves way too cool, dreadlocks, guys with dreadlocks and parkas, who were usually unattractive. They were oh wow, again, there he is. Staying just totally still. Oh, there we go. Get a little movement. He's like, wait, you see me? Look at that. Yeah. The heron appears. So maybe the heron is starting to try to establish that little spot as its go-to. That'd be kind of cool. I couldn't see anybody really bothering him or her. Yeah, totally still. Ninja. Anyway, practicing pile stance. Anyway, but this was something I always thought was weird because, and I started to detect this with the millennials, and then it now apparently is totally a Gen Z thing too. But just because your mother didn't play jazz doesn't mean jazz didn't exist. That's pretty much the way I see it. Now, there's a lot of these people who are probably middle class failures in some way, and this is their way of dealing with that. They were put through school and they didn't understand their grades were being inflated, so that the slowest person in their class could graduate too, because that's what it's considered. Just the teachers just have to do that. They have to game it because of how industrialized education has become, and the way that it's managed from and the way the unions and stuff have fucked it up. And it's their fault. It should be different. They don't. If they want it with the money they have, the power that the unions have, they could have. Yeah. Anyway. So just because it's like, Lorraine Hansberry and Baldwin aren't your thing, and just, that's not anybody else's fault. Like, one of the things that really hit me is how none of the millennials understood, like, why Thelonious was important, why James was important, why the JBs were important. They just didn't get it. They didn't understand, like, no, this is the music of the modern period. Jazz became a music everyone could play together, and it was because they were in a new country where everybody in the world lived, and it was the music of the modern period. It showed a new era beginning with industrialization and there being a middle class and all that. So it just shows that they just don't know.